Here's my preview of the Baylor at Oklahoma football game. Offensively, they run like a multiple no huddle offense. They average 33 points per game, 187 first downs, 217.5 rushing yards per game, 236.9 passing yards per game, 52 for 120 on third down, which is 43.3%, and 9 for 17 on fourth down, 52.4%. They have allowed 17 sacks this year and 44 tackles for loss. They have turned the ball over 8 times this year, 3 interceptions and 5 fumbles. They have allowed 24 pass breakups and 12 quarterback hurries. Time possession wise, 26 minutes 41 seconds, and the average 2 or 3 deep at the offensive line is 313.14 pounds. I will say this about Oklahoma. If Dale Gabriel gets hurt, which I'm not going to bank on, by the way, during the game, I don't. They don't have a good backup second string quarterback. It's just a fact because look at that Texas game. Play with the backup that game, they got blown out. And even the TCU game when he got knocked out of the game, they got blown out. So that's just putting that out there right there. Dylan Gabriel is their starting quarterback. Number 8, 5'11", 204-pound quarterback. That's a junior. 129 completions out of 201 attempts for 1,766 yards with 14 touchdowns and 1 interception. And 44 rushing attempts for 180 yards with 3 touchdowns. So he can scramble, but he's not going to be he's not going to do it a bunch, but he can beat you to get like first downs and stuff. So Eric Gray is questionable with a leg injury, according to Cover Sports, as of right now. But I still expect him to play. He's number 0, 5'9", 211-pound running back. That's a senior. 117 rushing attempts for 796 yards with 6 touchdowns, and 16 receptions for 119 yards. Now, Javonte Barnes is also questionable with an undisclosed injury. I will say this: he hasn't played. He didn't play last game, I believe. He's number 2, 201-pound running back. That's a freshman. 72 rushing attempts for 316 yards with 4 touchdowns, and for 4 receptions for 21 yards. Marcus Major's another running back to keep an eye on, because he probably would play more because of Javonte Barnes is not going to play, might not play. He's number 24. He's 5'11", 222-pound running back. That's a junior. 50 rushing attempts, 50 of them, for 204 yards with 4 touchdowns, and 5 receptions for 56 yards with 1 touchdown. Now, I will say this: they do have a tight end / H-back that is very versatile. They always have that guy at that position, and the guy is Braden Willis, number 9, 6'4", 235-pound fullback / tight end. That's a senior. 8 rushing attempts for 18 yards. Yes, he's not known as a runner, but I might as well include it because he has rushed the ball some. And 22 receptions for 320 yards with 5 touchdowns. He's definitely the guy to receive, like in terms of that position. Second most receptions on the team. Because, Marvin Mims is the number 1 guy. Number 17, 5'11", 184-pound wide receiver. That's a junior. 34 receptions for 558 yards with 3 touchdowns and 2 rushing attempts for 3 yards. And the long is 4 yards, by the way. Now, Jalil Farouk, number 3, is the third most in terms of receptions here. 6'1", 206-pound wide receiver. That's a sophomore. 20 receptions for 269 yards with 2 touchdowns, and 9 rushing attempts for 94 yards. So you gotta be expecting him to run if need be. Theo Weiss, number 10, 6'3", 200-pound wide receiver. That's a junior. 15 receptions for 251 yards with 3 touchdowns. Drake Stoops, as in Bob Stoops' son, number 12, 5'10", 191-pound wide receiver. That's a senior. 18 receptions for 178 yards with 1 touchdown, and 7 rushing attempts for 40 yards, the longest 14. Granted, the other guys on the list, I'll just leave that in the description below, because that's probably the most used guys, though, don't be shocked by Gavin Freeman, number 82. 5'8", 169-pound wide receiver. That's a freshman. I know he only has like 2 receptions for 42 yards, but 5 rushing attempts for 64 yards with 1 touchdown, though. Now, defensively, they run a multiple 4-3 defense. They allow 28.8 points per game. They allow 202 first downs all year long. They allow 189.8 rushing yards per game and 248.3 passing yards per game. 54 for 125 on third down, 6 for 14 on fourth down, which 6 for 14 is 43.2%, while 54 for 125 is 43.2%. Same number. That's crazy. They have 16 sacks on the year and 60 tackles for loss, 29 pass breakups, 27 quarterback hurries. They have forced 11 turnovers on the year, 9 interceptions, 2 fumbles. They even had a safety in the game. Time possession defensively is like 33 minutes for 19 seconds. The average 3 deep at the defensive line is 276.82 pounds, though at 3 deep for nose tackle / defensive tackle is like 297.16667 pounds. Now, defensive end 2 / 3 deep is like 252.4 pounds. I'm going to say this about Oklahoma. They're not a good team defensively, though I think they're getting better, but we'll see. Okay, some guy, I'm going to list some guys to keep an eye on, like David Agawubu. I'm sorry if I butchered that last name. Ugwoegbu. Number 2, 6'4", 250-pound linebacker. That's a senior. 68 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hurries, and 1 safety. Danny Stuntsman. Number 28. 6'4", 240-pound linebacker. That's a sophomore. 67 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, which is one of the most on the team here. 1.5 sacks, 1 interception, 3 pass breakups, and 2 quarterback hurries. Jashaun White, number 23, 6 foot, 220-pound linebacker. That's a senior. 49 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 interception, 4 pass breakups, and 3 quarterback hurries. Justin Broyles, number 25, 5'11", 195-pound defensive back. That's a senior. 41 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 interception, and 1 pass breakup. Billy Bowman, number 5, 5'10", 190-pound defensive back. That's a sophomore. 36 tackles, 4 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. Woody Washington, number 0, 5'11", 196-pound cornerback. That's a junior. 35 tackles, 1 interception, and 2 pass breakups. Key Lawrence, number 12, 6'1", 210-pound defensive back. That's a junior. 31 tackles, 0.5 tackles for loss, 1 interception, and 3 pass breakups. Jaden Davis, number 4, 5'10", 183-pound cornerback. That's a senior. 29 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 2 pass breakups, and 1 quarterback hurry. Trey Morrison, number 6, 5'9", 188-pound defensive back. That's a senior. 22 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 0.5 sacks, and 1 pass breakup. Jared Kanak, number 7, 6'2", 225-pound linebacker. That's a freshman. 21 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hurries, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. Justin Harrington, number 37, 6'3", 215-pound defensive back. That's a senior. 20 tackles, 1 interception, and 2 pass breakups. Ethan Downs, number 40, 6'4", 260-pound defensive lineman. That's a sophomore. 19 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 2 pass breakups, and 5 quarterback hurries. Jalen Redmond, number 31, 6'3", 292-pound defensive lineman. That's a junior. 17 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 3 pass breakups, and 4 quarterback hurries. J.J. Graham, number 9, 6'9", 9-inch cornerback. That's a junior. 14 tackles and 2 pass breakups. Reggie Grimes, number 14, 6'4", 270-pound defensive lineman. That's a junior. 14 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 2 quarterback hurries, and 1 forced fumble. Damon Harmon, number 17, 6 foot, 180-pound defensive back. That's a sophomore. 14 tackles. Jonah Laulu, Laulu. Aulu. I apologize if I butchered that last name. 6'5", 265-pound defensive lineman. That's a senior. 14 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and one sack and one quarterback hurry. Isaiah Coe, number 94, 6'2", 305-pound defensive lineman. That's a junior. 11 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, one sack, and two quarterback hurries. Jeffrey Johnson, number 77, 6'2", 305-pound defensive lineman. That's a senior. 11 tackles and one tackle for loss. Jake McCoy, number 41, 6'3", 228-pound linebacker. That's a junior. 9 tackles. Josh Ellison, number 90, 6'3", 300-pound defensive lineman. That's a senior. 8 tackles and 1.5 tackles for loss. Grace Halton, number 56, 6'2", 277-pound defensive lineman. That's a freshman. 8 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. Jordan Kelly, number 88, 6'4", 288-pound defensive lineman. That's a senior. 6 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. Kelvin Gilliam, number 44, 6'3", 293-pound defensive lineman. That's his freshman. 5 tackles, 0.5 tackles for loss, and 1 quarterback hurry. Marcus Stripling, number 33, 6'3", 245-pound defensive lineman. That's a senior. 5 tackles, 0.5 tackles for loss, and 2 quarterback hurries. Art Mason Thomas, number 32, 6'2", 220-pound defensive lineman. That's a freshman. Yes, that is the correct weight. I had to double check on that, and it's like, yes, it is. 5 tackles, 0.5 tackles for loss, and 0.5 sacks. Kendall Dennis, number 21, 5'11", 187-pound defensive back. That's a sophomore. 4 tackles. Now, I'm going to go over special teams. They had the same punters last year. Michael Turk, number 37, 6 foot, 230-pound punter. That's a senior. 40 punts for 1,832 yards. The longest 61 yards, though, and the average is like 45.8 yards. 13 of those punts have went further than 50 yards, while 13 of those have landed inside the 20-yard line. And Zach Schmidt, number 34, is a kicker. 5'10", 187-pound kicker. That's a sophomore. 34 for 34 on extra points. 8 for 9 on field goals. 2 for 2 for 20 to 29 yards. Or 2 for 3 on 30 to 39 yards, and 4 for 4 on 40 to 49 yards. The longest is 44 yards. He does have 2 receptions for 5 yards with a touchdown, though. Yeah, and that touchdown actually happened last game. On a fake field goal, they threw it to him. And they scored against Iowa State. I will say this, though, about Oklahoma. They didn't look impressive last. Yes, they won 27-13 against Iowa State. But 15 of those points came from a kicker. Extra point, if you include extra points, which is 2 of them, a touchdown by him, actually 3 extra points, so 10 points. Wait a minute. He scored a touchdown. Of course, 1 touchdown. All the extra points came from 1 guy. That's pretty sad. I mean, he made 2 field. I'm gonna have to go into this game a little bit more just to make sure. I know he scored a touchdown and made at least 2 field goals. Maybe even 3. The last game against Oklahoma. Against Iowa State. I'm going to look into this. Of course, extra points both in third and fourth quarter. That's 1 point by him. A field goal twice. So that's 8 points, and a touchdown. Because I know for a fact that he scored a touchdown in that game. I know he did. In the second quarter. That's... Obviously, he made 2 field goals in the game, 3 extra points. That's 6 points plus 3 points, and that's 9 point. Actually, 9 points, actually 16 points, but still, you know what I'm saying though, because I mean, he scored 7 points on one possession on him alone. That's 7 points plus 2 more extra points. That's 9. Yep, 15 points. So really, yeah. And it didn't look too... Sure, they only allowed 13 points at Iowa State. But here's the deal. Iowa State's offense is terrible. They're the worst in the Big 12. They're just like Iowa 2.0. They have a good defense, but not a good offense. And I'm being completely real. Oklahoma really allowed 308 passing yards to Iowa State. What are you doing? This further proves they can't defend a pass. Oklahoma can't. I mean, I'm going to even go into the Kansas game in terms of stats. Yes, they won that game, but that was with Jason Bean at quarterback. I'm going to say this, though. They allowed 165 rushing yards to Kansas. They allowed 265 passing yards to Kansas. Even with Jason Bean at quarterback. That's not good. I will say this about Texas, of course. I know they were without Dylan Gabriel for that game, but the defense to give up 49 points is ridiculous. I mean, 296 yards rushing in that game on 50 attempts for 5.5, which is 5.9 yards per rush. They even allowed 289 passing yards in that game. That's terrible. Of course, TCU, I know that was part of it. Dylan Gabriel got hurt during the game, but come on. Defense can't help it right there. I mean, they allowed 361 rushing yards to TCU on 41 attempts. And they, of course, 307 passing yards allowed too. Yeah. Not good. And even that close game against Kansas State when they lost to them at home, they allowed 275 passing yards and rushing yards in that game. And yes, it's 234 passing yards allowed, but in that game. But you know, I think Oklahoma's trying to figure themselves out. I mean, they have 3 losses. Both teams have 3 losses going into this game. But Baylor is 3-2 in the Big 12, while Oklahoma is 2-3 in the Big 12. So this is an important game for both teams here. I'm going to go over the keys for Baylor to win. I mean, what they need to do in this game. Obviously, special teams wise, play solid. Don't have blunders like an extra point blocked or punt blocked or even a kickoff return touchdown, punt return touchdown. You got to execute your blocking on your extra points, field goals, and punting, and make your extra points. Kick the ball out of the end zone every time. Have good punts. Now defensively, I know what they're gonna try to do. They're like Texas Tech in a sense, in terms of like no huddle, but they are different. They want to run the ball, and according to Dave Aranda, they want to be like more of that. What they did last year in terms of like the scheme wise on running the ball, but they will throw it too. So I would prefer to stop Oklahoma's run game with only 4 guys, with just a defensive line if possible, and just pin your ears back. That would be huge. Of course, if you have to bring guys, we got to do what we got to do to stop the run here, because I really think you should be able to stop this run game, and your defense is ready for it, and they've been good all year long for the most part. Now the pass defense, you can't allow the deep plays. You can't. You got to kind of do what you did last game in terms of like tightening it up in the secondary and get a pass rush. Because if you could get a pass rush, it's going to force the quarterback to make mistakes. That's the truth. And make him uncomfortable as a left-handed quarterback. Yes, Dylan Gabriel's left-handed, and I know that. Make him uncomfortable. I mean, it's the truth. This is a team that won't go for it in a fourth down. Of course, they might down the line. I don't know. I forgot to mention it on this on special teams. Be prepared for fakes by Oklahoma, because they showed that they could do that if they so wanted to on field goals now. And same thing goes for punts, potentially. I'm not saying they're going to do it, and they have done it, but I'm just saying just be prepared for it. And of course, if the ball's going to go over your head, just let it go. And of course, you got to be smart when you punt return and kick return too. Now, what's easy on offense is, and of course defensively, force turnovers in this game. That would help immensely. Now, offensively, it's quite simple. Run that clock to death. As in, don't let the Oklahoma offense have a chance with the football that much. Slow the pace of the game down. I prefer not to be in a shootout with them. I would prefer not. Do what you did last game, even the game before. Win time possession decisively. I mean, the last two games, above 40 minutes of time of possession. That is just crazy. Of course, take care of the ball. That's rule number one. That is rule number one. As long as you take care of the ball, you should be able to put up points on Oklahoma. And you got to make adjustments throughout the game on all aspects of the game here. Of course, I would prefer to just to run it. Though you need to throw in a little play action and some straight up passes. And of course, execute your blocking as a tight end, fullback, wide receiver, and offensive line, of course. The same thing goes for pass protection for all those who want to pass protect besides the offensive line. And that's just stating the truth right there. This is an Oklahoma team that is not as good as we thought they would be. Now, I kind of thought maybe they would struggle a little bit in year one. And they have. As you can tell, they lost 3 straight before winning back-to-back games here. So, and I want to say this about Oklahoma. All their wins, except for the Kansas game, losing records. Or near losing records. I mean, Iowa State's bad. Nebraska's a dumpster fire. The first 2 games, cakewalk. I mean, let's just be completely honest about that. I will also say this. Across the board, limit the penalties. Don't get late hits on anybody. Please. And I understand that one personal foul roughing the passer last game. That was no personal foul roughing the passer. Bear Morton sold it like an actor. Nobody touched him, yet they threw a flag. But they did make up for it with a pass interference in the end zone. I'll give the refs that. I mean, this is certainly a winnable game here. You just gotta stay hungry, stay focused, and ignore the outside noise because you need to stay. You can't hyperventilate as a player, and you can't be complacent. And yes, you won back-to-back games, but so has Oklahoma. You got to come out ready to go from the jump and take the crowd away from this game as much as possible in terms of like energy. Yes, I know they're having a down year and it's a 2 o'clock game, not like a night game. But it would be immense to help yourself by taking the crowd out of the game early. And if you get a 3 touchdown lead, I'm not saying you're going to or not. Once you get a lead, keep it. Don't allow them to hang around. Because if you do, they're going to give some energy to the crowd. And you don't want that. You want them to stay quiet all game long. Or as much as possible. Anyways, I just want to go over this. And I'm sorry this is about to be over 26 minutes long here. But it's very, very detailed what I got in terms of information. And y'all could check that out in the description below. So y'all could see it during the game even. Or even before the game. Like a Friday or Thursday. Anytime you want. Right before the game. And I know this is on ESPN Plus. But, you know. We gotta do. And if nothing else, listen to the radio. Or even on Facebook Live, like on Baylor Athletics. They have Inside the Mic with John Morris and JJ Joe. You can always listen to that on Facebook Live if you want to. That's what I did during the Texas Tech game just to avoid the commentators. And yes, I know they were okay, but like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's give me the 400 subscribers and more by end of this year or sometime in the future.